beautiful Maryfield, Virginia, where right down the road, boys, the Dukes of Hazzard, with that beautiful Jessica Simpson, is probably unspooling as we speak. It's the Fairfax Sports Report. My name is Greg Wyshynski of the Connection Newspapers. Along with me this evening, of course, Joey Kamada, formerly of the Connection Newspapers, and the Inside Baseball Show here on FSN. BJ Kubaroulas of the Connection Newspapers, and Jeff Graham of the Connection Newspapers. You want to come back? Because
I don't know.
I'm not doing so
That's
hot.
true. Well, you couldn't do sports. We got a lot of. The vending machine needs some. No? Okay.
How about Restaurant Digest?
Well, less said about that, the better. Anyway, enough inside talk. Fairfax Sports Report, thanks for joining us again this week. We have a lot to talk about, and I couldn't tell you right now how much variety we have on the show. I think this is more variety than we've ever had on the show. One might say it's even the Fairfax Sports Entertainment Report this week, boys.
I would say it's going to be quite an entertaining show.
Oh,
Greg.
it will be, and I can't even go into it now. I can tell you that we're going to talk a little bit of boxing, and we're going to talk a little bit of baseball. And believe it or not, folks, we have exclusive, well, at least on this network, coverage of the SummerSlam press conference for the World Wrestling Entertainment, which I still can't say. I still say Federation. That is going to be something. That is something you're not going to want to miss. I promise you. Go get the popcorn now while we're talking about the real sports. No, not you. Let's start off with some general news that's going on in the world of sports these days as it concerns Fairfax County. Want to make mention of something pretty momentous that happened this week regarding a graduate of one of the schools here in the county, West Springfield High School. His name is Joe Saunders. He used to pitch for the Spartans baseball team. Was on their Virginia AAA state championship team in 1998, and he made his major league debut with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim this week. He's a lefty, came up for a start when Paul Bird got hurt and went 7 1/3, gave up 5 hits, gave up 2 runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, pitched really well, and unfortunately got shipped right back down to Salt Lake after that. But it's always exciting to see. I mean, you obviously have a pretty intimate knowledge of kids that have made the jump to whether it be the minors and the majors. I mean, it's always exciting to see when this sort of thing happens. You know?
Yeah, no, it's. I think Saunders is the first guy from the area since Seth Gresinger, first pitcher, anyways, to make the jump to the big leagues. So that's it's nice to see him. I remember playing against him in high school, and he was always a great pitcher from the left side, especially, and to make your debut as a starter and to go 7 1/3, that's no small accomplishment. That's a good jump for Joe Saunders, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And for him to come into that spot, I mean, it's not like he's going and playing in front of a crowd of 18,000 someplace. He's playing in front of about 43,000 fans for a team that's in a pennant race in the AL West. I mean, it was a pretty impressive debut for that kid. And let's be honest. If you're a kid who's a left-handed pitcher, it's a bit of an easier trip to the majors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any secret beyond that. And when they expand to 40 men on the roster in September, it's probably a good chance he makes that jump again back up to the majors.
Well, but at 25 years old, this isn't something that it's not like the kid for the Mariners that's 19 years old making his debut.
Right.
He's been in the minors for about 4 or 5 years. Kind of toiling around, trying to make a name for himself, work his way up the ladder. So it's. At this stage where you're 25, you're reaching your mid to late 20s, you want to get that debut in. Otherwise, you end up in what they call, I guess, the baseball graveyard, otherwise known as AAA.
And I think, for Saunders to get called up was kind of a little bit of a surprise because he missed the 2003 season completely with a torn labrum, and then, I was looking at his stats for Salt Lake and hadn't been very impressive this season. So. But you never know when you're going to get called up, and I think when you see guys get called up, usually they either get lit up in their first start or they do pretty well just because hitters aren't really familiar with their delivery, what kind of pitches they can throw. So for one start, it's a good start for him.
Absolutely. One more bit of news coming out of a bastion of breaking news this summer, Chantilly High School. We have a coach coming back and a new coach to the school. It's sort of in a summer of odd news and instances at Chantilly, this is just another in
hopefully this
string.
is the last of them for the summer. Kevin Ford has been named baseball coach. He was an assistant for Chris Haddock. 2 years ago, he had been there for a while, and he was assistant under Chuck Welsh at Westfield last year. And Tracy Burrell is the girls' soccer coach again. She resigned earlier in the summer, and she's been rehired. So I don't know the story behind that, but she's going to be coming back for another season.
And she's a coach who's been around a long time here in the Northern region, and really I thought managed the talent pretty well with that program in years past. So we'll see. I mean, it's always an interesting time at Chantilly, and like you said, hopefully now that we're getting closer to the start of school, things sort of smooth out, we get back into the swing of things, and some of the controversies and craziness of that school kind of shift into the background. Before we go into some boxing, I want to mention and then thank the folks that make this program possible every week, boys. And of course, I'm talking about the sponsors. Quality Care Ford Service Center, conveniently located in Fairfax, servicing all makes and models, 703-383-6299. And CCI Screen Printing, for all of your screen printing needs, 703-978-0257. And of course, Pinkman Baseball Academy, 703-661-8586. And I should mention we are going to have a glut of baseball discussion coming up in a few moments. But first, I want to turn the attention over to Mr. B.J. Cooper-Lewis, who had the honor, should we say honor?
I would say it was an honor, Greg.
The honor of attending a landmark press conference announcing a big money prize fight coming to the Patriot Center at George Mason University in September. BJ, take it away.
Well, I guess, they're going to make the Patriot Center the hub of boxing, and that's really why we're really excited here in Fairfax and all the local papers, and that's why everybody turned out to see the press conference between Jimmy Lang and Perry Ballard. Now, for those of you that don't know, Jimmy Lang was on the NBC hit reality television show, The Contender, which Greg and myself were very big fans of and spoke about every Monday morning.
Avid admirers.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yes. Jimmy Lang, did pretty well on the show, earned himself some credibility in the local boxing circuit. And there's another guy who's been calling out Jimmy Lang for the past 2-3 years, since he called him out at the D.C. Armory. His name's Perry Ballard. This goes back 2-3 years with these guys. Perry has tried to get a fight with Jimmy every chance he's gotten. He's on DC 101. He's, Elliot in the morning. He's, calling he sent out an email as one of his last resorts to all the local media guys, trying to call out Jimmy in every possible way. So these two are going to fight on, the main event, co-main event, at the Patriot Center on September 17th. These two guys hate each other. It's a grudge match, and it's going to be a pretty good fight. One is a boxer. Jimmy is a boxer, a finesse boxer. And Perry, calls himself a boxer, but he's really a brawler, and he's got the ability to drop somebody with one punch. So kind of a street fighter versus a true boxer. But on the undercard, I should mention Mike Sawyer. He's a guy from, and Joe, you might know Mike from George Mason University.
He's an old Sig Ep from Mason.
He is an old Sig Ep. A couple of his brothers are real excited to go out and see him fight. It's his professional debut, Joey, so that's pretty impressive for him to get his professional debut at a huge venue like the Patriot Center.
Absolutely.
When they're starting, to make that the hub of boxing. So
he's moved up from knocking guys out at Bridges and PJ Skidoo.
Well, he's got to watch out for you, Joey, the local bouncer now. He can't mess around anymore.
Now, this is the second time you've said hub of boxing.
Right.
Do you consider it the hub of boxing or the mecca of boxing in Fairfax County? Which one do you prefer?
Well, like Rucker Park is the mecca of basketball.
Yes.
I think they're trying to turn the Patriot Center into the mecca, if you will, of boxing in Northern Virginia.
There you go.
So they mentioned a guy at the press conference, which really makes you feel like, gosh, boxing has been so absent in Virginia for so long. They mentioned since the golden days of Sweet Pea Whitaker. You remember Sweet Pea Whitaker?
Purnell Sweet Pea
That's
Whitaker.
correct.
Wow.
From Norfolk, from my old stomping grounds in Virginia Beach. So, it's good to see that boxing's going to make a comeback in Virginia, to see these two guys fight it out, and a local guy, Mike Sawyer, go up there and try to make a name for himself. So with that,
there you go. Absolutely, and we've got two Mason boys here. I don't think there's any surprise there. Judging what's on the table in front of them,
there's three Mason guys.
There you go. Absolutely. What do you think is going to be sort of the reaction from folks at Mason, around Mason? I mean, is there going to be, you think, a lot of support for this fight? Do you think that the fact that there is such a local draw of a kid like Sawyer on the card, that they're going to come out in droves to kind of support this event?
Yeah, I mean, it's It's during the school year. When is the fight again?
Well, it's September 17th.
Yeah, so it's
right
during
when
the school
kicks
year.
off.
So that's good. They waited until the kids are back. So I'm assuming they're going to promote around campus.
Correct.
Just to try to generate some interest within the. It's going to, but this guy in front of us, Jim Larinaga, has been trying to do it for years now, trying to promote and get kids on campus. Maybe this is a little bit different because it's a one-time thing.
Right.
It's a big event. Maybe they'll start selling some beer inside the Patriots Center. That might bring some people out as well. But
the good thing that they're doing is that they're trying to make this more than just a one-shot wonder, something that people can latch on to, something that people, and I think they're already planning on putting another fight in January afterwards. So, they're also giving a discount to Mason students with a Mason ID. So if you have a Mason ID, you can get a ticket. I think they start somewhere at $30. I think you get a $10 discount, $20. It's not bad for 4 or 5 fights in one night.
All.
So tickets can get a little pricey though. They're gonna range all the way up from $30 to about $350 ringside. So.
If he sits in VIP.
Right. I mean,
Right.
if you're rolling in the VIP, what's good? Fairfax, you know what I'm saying? You got to be a high roller to get up in
Absolutely.
there. But
Is there
$30 you can get your foot in the door and see old Mike Sawyer stomp somebody down.
Is there a women's undercard?
There's not going to be, Joe.
Oh, no
But
Lilali.
I've seen women boxing, and actually, it's kind of more exciting than to see men boxing. They really brawl it out, and they don't ever go past the second or
Boy,
third round.
I'll tell you, if this show was on a few hours later, we would find out just how exciting it is. But
Insert foot and mouth, Joey.
indeed. Now, wow, I think the boxing thing at the Patriot Center is a great idea. I mean, you need some sort of a transition from the Avril Lavigne concert to the Mason basketball season, and I think the boxing is a perfect way. Oh, come on.
What about the Harlem
That's a
Globetrotters?
shot.
And the Harlem Globetrotters.
that's a
I
shot.
know, exactly. And that rap show they
Avril
had where the
Lavigne.
guy didn't show up. All right, listen.
All right,
Let's just get to the press conference because it's good fun, and it'll be a great juxtaposition to that SummerSlam press conference we have coming up later. Oh, boy. Let's go watch what happened when Jimmy Lang and Perry Ballard announced their big fight.
Virginia. How you doing, everyone? I'm not the feature fighter. Just have a couple quick things to say. First of all, it's an honor to be here for a number of reasons. Want to thank Gene, Chris, and Johnny for putting this together, get me on this card. Secondly, it's an honor to be making my debut on Jimmy Lang's undercard, who's been a personal friend of mine for a number of years now. And it's also especially exciting to make my pro debut at my alma mater, George Mason University. Still my stomping grounds, and I'm planning on stomping on whoever they put in front of me. Thank you.
We're looking forward to bringing boxing back to Virginia. I can't really say we ever had boxing in Virginia. In my memory, we haven't had a fight of this nature in years. So this is going to be something new at the Patriot Center. 42 rounds of boxing, so we have 2 championship fights, 12-round fights. We've never had anything like this in Virginia or Maryland or D.C., 2 championship fights in one evening. So it's really something to look forward to.
Real excited to be back here. I'd like to thank Washington, D.C. I'd like to thank the people in Baltimore, the Wagners. I'd like to thank the Contender for the last year. Was a hell of an experience. Sly Stallone, Ray Leonard, Jeff Wald. Couldn't ask for a better year. And now I'm looking forward to bringing it back home. I want to congratulate Perry on his 2-year campaign to capitalize on my popularity. It's been a long time coming, and now it's here, and I'm excited.
Jimmy Lang, after 2 years, finally stepping up, fighting Perry Ballard. Jimmy's a great fighter. It's going to be a great fight. I'm not here to thank anybody. I'm here to do one thing, kick his ass, period, case closed. He better be ready. I'm ready. I'm fit. Still got almost 2 months to go. I ain't taking no step back. Coming forward, contender, pretender, whatever you want to call it. Come the 17th, tell your friends, tell your family. This is going to be one exciting night. You got 2 great fighters and a great undercard, and pulling no punches. I know what I'm up against. You all know what I'm up against. He better know what he's up against. It's going to be a great night. Bring your family, bring your friends. Leave your kids at home because the blood's going to be flying.
I've heard a lot of talk in the paper from Perry. I've heard a lot of talk on the radio from Perry and his fans, and You know, I hate to disappoint them, but that's what September 17th is going to be, because we're going to fight out. You know, he's got an alligator mouth. Now it's time to see if his hummingbird ass can back it up.
No disrespect or anybody on here. It takes time to build up a fight. Jimmy got a lot of notoriety. I was a little step beneath him in a certain way. I picked up some titles here, titles there. It takes time to build something. Jimmy got acclaim. Perry got acclaim. Jimmy got more acclaim, but I stuck around, stay around. If you hang in there, it's going to happen. Good things have happened. Don't take this title lightly. It's a big night, you know, and so they're going to get their money's worth. Call me motor mouth, call me water. I back it up. He backs these words up. He's 25 too. But you know what? He doesn't, I don't fear him at all. Doesn't bother me at all. It's going to be a great fight. I back it up. I ain't taking a step back. I'm coming right at him. Full throttle. Full throttle. Look at me, Pepe. Full throttle. Going at it.
You know, I know I'm going to have a lot of fans there. He's going to have a lot of fans there.
I believe that, he's going to have a lot of fans. I've got a lot of fans. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of my fans are, they go with Jimmy when he's not fighting me. So there's a lot of crossover fans.
I've always put the best people around me, from my start with Pepe Correa to Buddy McGirt to Al Gavin, who's recently passed away. I've gotten a new cut man, Jimmy Glenn, who I have all the confidence in the world in.
I'm going to have a great camp. I got a great trainer, Johnny Johnson, and a co-trainer, Matt Forsyth, been with me since amateur.
The best fighters are able to impose their style on other fighters, and that's what I'm going to do. You know, I'm going to make him fight my fight.
Man, you can't underestimate the heart of a lion. And right here, you're looking at a lion. It's going to be one hell of a fight.
I'm ready to adjust when I get in there. So I can do it all.
25-2. He can do it all. He's a great fighter, no doubt. Impressive. Yeah, he's impressive. My power, impressive. My power, one punch, you're out. Jimmy Lang, your jaw is going to be tested. One punch, and you just might be out.
Bottom line is I'm going to be ready. Boxer, puncher, I got 17 knockouts myself. So he can talk about his knockouts all as one and all his power all he wants. I got a few knockouts on my resume. So, we'll see what happens.
That roll in, impressive. Our power is on. Well, boys, that was a boxing hootenanny, wasn't it?
I would say.
Why was Jimmy, you were there, why was Jimmy Lang dressed like a lounge act and Perry Ballard was dressed like his accountant?
It's funny because on the Contender, Jimmy was kind of billed as this, laid back kind of Christian guy from,
right.
the South, and he didn't look like that.
No.
I was kind of impressed to see, he was kind of looking like a pretty boy, and he might have done that on purpose because the fight that these two have had verbally between each other, a lot of it has been name calling, and Perry has called him a pretty boy in many instances, and Jimmy's never really responded, but might have been a little slap at him there with the way he was dressed. I've never, seen him wear some glasses like that, but
usually wear those after the fight.
yeah,
Usually.
yeah, to the black eyes. But I don't think he'll have very many black eyes from Perry Ballard. I mean, he's a hard hitter, but look, Perry's 38 years old. Jimmy's bigger in every statistical category, but like Perry said, I've seen him fight before. And if he does catch Jimmy with one punch, it's true what he says. He is impressive with his power. But, I guess if we had to pick, I'm going with old Jimmy Lang.
Do you remember how tall Perry Ballard is? Because he looked like there's a slight height disadvantage with Jimmy Lang.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but
okay. But
obviously
he's significantly shorter?
Jimmy's got him in the reach. He's got him in the height. He's got him, obviously the weight's got to be the same. They're fighting for the 154-pound WBE, World Boxing Enterprise title as well. So, but he's got him in every statistical category.
I think Perry's got him in hummingbird ass.
Yeah, in the hummingbird ass category.
Alligator mouth?
And the alligator mouth. I think it's like this in favor of Perry. But everything else pretty much going Jimmy's way.
But let's also make mention here that you and I were both, as you mentioned, fans of the Contender. Me for the family drama, you for the boxing. And I wanted to make mention that on the Contender, the fight that Jimmy Lang lost, we've talked about this, was in a brawl.
Right.
So that's the kind of fight you expect this might turn out to be.
Well, and that's the question that I asked at the press conference, and that was cut out, but Jimmy answered the question in saying the best fighters impose their style on other boxers in fights, and that's how he responded to the question. I said, if this turns into a street brawl, can you handle it? Because we saw in the Contender, Joey Gilbert is who he fought and lost to. Joey was an inexperienced fighter. He had only 8 fights under his belt when he fought Jimmy Lang. And when Perry mentioned 25-2, kind of taking a jab at Jimmy's record with 2 losses, because Perry's is unblemished, 17-0. One of those losses counted during the Contender, and it was to Joey Gilbert. So there's an opportunity for Perry to turn it into a street fight, and if he doesn't, he's probably going to lose the fight. Jimmy's just a better boxer. So you got a classic matchup of boxer versus brawler. So it's going to be interesting. September 17th at the Patriot Center. Go and support local Mike Sawyer, trying to make his professional debut.
We should mention that was Mike in the beginning of the roll-in. I don't think we sort of previewed that before you saw the video. But yeah, he looks like he's happy to be fighting in front of the locals, huh? I mean, it's going to be fun to have that sort of moment happen with all your friends and family in the arena. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
You've got to be impressed with a guy who's making his professional debut on a big, as an undercard on a pretty big fight like this, and something that's supposed to revolutionize boxing in Virginia. So, like I said, September 17th, get out to the Patriot Center. Support your local boxers.
You have a pick for this fight, for this Jimmy Lang fight?
Well, the other guy looks like he's about 5'2", and he's 38 years old. So I'll take Jimmy Lang.
You got a pick?
I'm gonna go with Lang.
I say no decision.
Yeah, okay, Joe Saunders.
That's right. I think
Richard Steele's gonna stop the fight.
Yeah, exactly. I think someone's going to throw in the towel for either side.
Yeah.
No ear biting, hopefully. That's only in the heavyweights. We shouldn't malign. See, that's the thing about boxing, right? Everyone looks at what happens with the heavyweights and all the shenanigans and bad refereeing and all the Tyson circus and guys who are 85 years old fighting until they're 86 but seriously, like, the lower levels of boxing are about as pure of a sport as you can find these days. If occasionally you get
you can find.
Yeah, and occasionally you get a sequined robe and some knucklehead like Camacho. But I mean, the lower levels, the lower weight levels, I should say, that's great sports, man. You can't beat 2 guys in the middle of the ring knocking the snot out of each other.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you're at a show when you're, at a local boxing match. I was at the Leesburg Armory last time Perry fought. It wasn't a huge fight or anything, but when you're out there, it's a sweaty gym. You're gritting it out, and these 2 guys are boxing right in front of you, man. And it's pretty impressive to see these guys work pretty hard to come out and fight, and sometimes in front of 200-300 people. Mm-hmm. It's not like the glit and glamour you see on the movies, and these guys work hard for it. So, it's always a fun time to get out there and watch these guys go at it, and hopefully we'll get some more of that on a little bit of a bigger stage at the Patriot Center.
There you go. Let's transition now from boxing gloves to baseball gloves as we do a little inside baseball with our good friend Joey Kamide. Before we get to the inside baseball portion of Inside Baseball, perhaps we can talk a little inside softball. I understand that the McLean Little League softball team is in fact in the World Series and is in fact appearing on ESPN2 and is in fact within reach of a championship. Is that true?
It's true, and it's good to have Joey Kamide here because he was there last year when the team went down, the same exact team. Now, what's interesting is that it's the McLean 11 and 12-year-old All-Stars, softball All-Stars. They're in Portland, Oregon. It was the exact same story as last year, basically the same frame of the story, right? Everybody's different, including the entire coaching staff, except for one girl, Jamie Bell. She was on a squad last year, which Joey covered and talked to old Jamie Loving, I'm sure, who was the coach, and went into retirement when he got back from Portland, Oregon. But it's just impressive to see them get back there. I know, Joey, they didn't do so hot in the finals last year of the World Series.
No, but just the fact that they got to the championship, and they swept through. I can't remember who they beat, but all those international teams and. The team that they lost to, that Waco, Texas team, had won it, like something out of 11 of the last 14 years or something like that. And I know you said earlier they didn't make it to the World Series. They lost in the regionals. So I'm sure that made some people in McLean smile, the fact they didn't have to see that team again.
Well, they're all smiling at McLean right now. I mean, I talked to Coach Rick Rivera today, the McLean football coach. He said, you know, 2 of his players have little sisters on that team, and they're out there just, you know, doing their best to win that thing. And they're in the finals again. They were on ESPN2 last night. They'll be on ESPN2 on Thursday again. Something to check out and support the local team. So pretty impressive to see them get back with a almost totally different, you know, group of kids and coaching staff. I should mention the coaching staff is Gary Bell as well as Gary Falley, and Falley's daughter is one of the pitchers, Jilly Falley, who's just been incredible throughout the whole tournament. So they'll be in the finals on Thursday on ESPN2.
There you go. What's going on in the wild world of baseball these days, my friend?
Well, we just had the Clark Griffith League season wrap up, and couldn't have ended on a more controversial note. The Herndon Braves, the third-year franchise, coached by my friend and former Herndon and James Madison and Atlanta Braves minor league star, Greg
Chipper
Miller, beat the Vienna Senators in the 5th game, in the deciding Game 5. The Senators, this is pretty much the juggernaut of the league for the last decade. They'd won something like, I think it was 6 out of the last 8 league championships. And just a great 5-game series. All 3 of the Braves' wins in the series were in extra innings, including obviously the Game 5. And I know, BJ, you've written about it, and I wrote about it. Just some controversy with the Senators had an opportunity in the bottom of the 11th to win the game. A ball at Waters Field rolled under the fence. Now, how exactly it made it under the fence, I guess, is up for debate. But then an inning later, umpire gets in the way of what would have been a probably routine double play ball that would have really helped to get the Senators out of the inning. It deflects off the umpire and leaves runners on first and second. And a few batters later, Herndon knocks in the winning run to win the series. So a real controversial Game 5, but it's kind of unfortunate that the season ended on such a note because it was such a fantastic season. Mike Bianucci, a lot of local fans are familiar with the name from Woodson, set a single-season league record for home runs. The single game record for home runs was set by Ricky Owens of the Fauquier Gators, hit 4 in a game. Kellen Kolbacki from James Madison University, plays for the Braves, set the single-season record for doubles. So just a tremendous season offensively for the Clark Griffith League, and it was very unfortunate that it had to end on on kind of a controversial note, but still, just a fantastic series to follow, regardless of how it ended.
Yeah, I mean, I got a chance to speak with both coaches after the championship game, and both of them had different views of the same play, which was the controversial play of how the ball rolled under the fence and ground rule double and that whole sort of thing. But hey, that's baseball. Things happen like that, and both coaches have to accept it when it goes against them and accept it when it happens for them. And the Braves should be commended. It wasn't just one play. These guys fought every game off in extra innings, and actually, Greg Miller got them. They got them after a 4-12 start, I believe it was, to start the season into the playoffs. To win it in extra innings in 3 games. That's pretty impressive, and they should be commended for that. In his first year, Joe.
Yeah, in his first year as manager, and that Braves team couldn't hit a lick to start the season. In the first part of June, right even up and close till July. I think they at one point went on a 9-game winning streak and won 9 out of 10, and that obviously turned their season around. But before that, they just couldn't hit. And they finally got that turned around. They get into the fourth. They win the second half of the league and force a championship series. And Greg gets a couple of guys hurt. One guy had to go home. Family emergencies. Down. I think he had like 6 or 7 pitch. A really short amount of pitchers. And I talked to him before the series started. He said this is going to be interesting. And sure enough, if you look at the series, he had guys. Throw on a Tuesday, throw 5 innings on a Tuesday, come back, throw another 2 innings on Thursday. I know Josh Canova, former Madison standout now down at Virginia Tech, he appeared in 3 games. And I think he threw like 9 or 10 innings over the course of the week over 3 games. So it was just a real patchwork, as far as his pitching staff for the series. But they got it done. Hats off. And I couldn't be happier for Greg. Greg's a good friend of mine going way back.
As far as the Clark goes this year, I mean, it was sort of a year of a little bit of transition, a little bit of upheaval with the Bethesda Big Train and the Maryland teams kind of leaving overall, looking back on it, how did the league adapt? Was there any discernible difference?
Well, I think if you talk to people within the league, this was definitely a transition year for them. They go I think from 7 or 8 teams last year down to 4, and I'm sorry, down to 5 this year. But they all know they've already got it lined up to where in 2006 they're going to have 8 teams in the league. They're all going to be Virginia teams, possibly a DC team. And they just kind of said, let's get through this year with 5, and we'll get our numbers back up to 8, and we'll be back up and grease the skids a little bit for 2006. And I think that both parties were kind of happy that the Maryland teams parted ways. It wasn't just Bethesda; it was Silver Spring, Tacoma, and it was the Baltimore Pride as well. A couple years before that, the Germantown Blackrocks had left the league. So there was at one point 4 Maryland teams in the league. It was just a hassle. I mean, if you're talking Fauquier going up to Baltimore for a game during the week, and a game gets over at 10, they're getting home at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. You have to charter a bus to get up there because you can't have all those kids. You have 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. You can't have them on the roads.
It's a pretty decent road trip. Yeah, absolutely.
I would ask, I mean, obviously a lot of it happened in the beginning of the season and late in the beginning part of the season. I think some of the guys around here that own teams weren't very happy with the way it happened, but water under the bridge now. But I think it actually helps the Clark that it becomes more of a central localer league to Virginia. And with the Nationals, Jeff, in town, and that providing some sort of backbone for baseball in this area, do you think that we're going to be helped, getting more, collegiate players in here to want to swing the wood in this area?
I mean, I think so. In having the Potomac team also, kind of local. I remember covering some of those early, Clark Griffith days, and you go teams like, who is this? Having some of these kids that you're at least familiar with from some of the local high schools, also playing with some kids that come in from some of the bigger programs around the East Coast and maybe even from the Midwest. It's a good mix. I think it was a little spread thin before. And I think the people that moved from Maryland are probably happy where they are too right now.
Absolutely. And then, the Clark's not the only thing going on. We mentioned Joe Saunders, Brandon Snyder, with our annual or our every show we have to update how Brandon's doing, and he's hitting over 300, 8 home runs in 34 games. So he's not embarrassing himself in his rookie campaign, that's for sure. And something that you guys get a kick out of, and I don't know if any of you guys know of anybody that falls in this category, but the Potomac Nationals, who, as we well know, this network broadcasts some of their home games. They're having and something that Bill Veek, the old the promotional genius for minor league baseball, would be very proud of. They're having a hairy back night at the Nationals game next week, where the person with the hairiest back will receive a $2,500 laser hair removal surgery from a local doctor or something like that. So I thought I in fact saw that before we came up here, and thought you guys would get a kick out of that.
Is George Animal still dead at this point?
I don't know if he's dead, but that reminds me, I owe my father a phone call. Before we get too deep into the show, we should now present the good people at home with a little bit of baseball. Drop a little baseball knowledge on them.
There you go. Drop some knowledge from Jeff Pinkman over at the Pinkman Baseball Academy. Jeff, I believe, is talking a little rotational hitting this week in his Inside Tip of the Week. So let's go ahead and kick it over to Jeff Pinkman from the Pinkman Baseball Academy with his Inside Tip of the Week.
Hi, this is Pat Pinkman from Pinkman Baseball Academy with your Inside Tip of the Week. Today we're going to be talking about rotational hitting and the important role that the hands play in regards to the addition of power, hitting the ball gap to gap more. The positioning of the hands really does play an important role, not only as the hands go through the swing, but where the hands are when the front foot hits the ground. That's really what I'm going to be talking about today. You can see here we've got a couple of professional hitters, power hitters mainly, but we'll get to that in a second. Regardless of stance, stride, no stride, doesn't matter. You're going to find that the majority of all of these major league hitters all do the same thing with their hands. They're all great hitters. Why is that? Well, the main reason is because when their front foot hits the ground, they're getting their bat to an angle of about anywhere from about 35 to 55 degrees. What that means is their hands are cocked and loaded in the back of their shoulder. The bat is pointing almost toward the pitcher a little bit. Their front foot is on the ground, and their back hip has started to rotate a little bit. You can see here Alfonso Soriano, back heel starting to rotate. Ken Griffey Jr.'s back heel starting to come up. This is an integral part of making sure that you don't lunge at the ball. If the hands are going forward as your front foot is hitting the ground, you increase your chances of lunging at the ball and hitting the ball out in front and off balance. As we look at some other hitters here, you'll find that they look almost identical. It's almost like they use the same hitting instructor. Barry Bonds and Jason Giambi, as they look somewhat similar, but as that front foot hits the ground, that bat is going to be pointed in a nice cocked position. With the bottom hand, that wrist is going to be flexed. The bat's going to be pointing toward the pitcher, and that heel is going to be coming off the ground. Here we have Barry Bonds has probably the highest heel of most hitters that we've seen. Giambi, his heel isn't quite getting off the ground yet until about then, but his hips are starting to rotate toward and around his body. As we look at this, we ask ourselves, okay, well, what is it that high school, little league, some college hitters are doing that's not making them as successful that the power hitters are doing? This is a student of ours right now, a Madison Warhawk. Matt Foley, he's playing at Virginia Tech right now. He's a catcher. We'll find here, this picture on the left shows him in the spring season. And as his front foot hits the ground, he's not in a bad position, but he's not in as good of a position as he could be in. His hands are sort of in front of his body. The bat is not at a great angle. It's almost at 90 degrees, which isn't bad, but again, we're trying to maximize power and efficiency through the swing. You see here over on the right, we've been working with him over the summer. As that front foot hits the ground, you'll see his hands are back and loaded a considerable amount more, and that bat angle is about 39 degrees, almost like Alfonso Soriano's. We see here, and this is really important that we understand why this creates power. If you can imagine, if anybody out there plays golf, club lag is very important in golf. And that's our main source of power, cocking the wrist and bringing the club through the zone. In hitting, it's the same way. If our hands start moving before our front foot hits the ground, we're going to be losing a considerable amount of power. It's called casting. The bat head goes away from the body, and it prevents us from hitting the inside pitch very well. And that's another big issue, is a lot of people finding it hard to hit the inside pitch. So in summary, really, the hands at foot strike is really what makes a lot of power hitters so much better than other hitters. Derek Jeter is a very good hitter, and you look here, as his foot comes down, his hands are a little bit further, and that bat angle is almost 90 degrees, just like we saw earlier. And this is the main reason why, the main difference between Soriano and Jeter. As we look here, as they start their swings, we're going to find out that their swings are virtually identical in terms of swing plane. You'll see, as I lock these images in, they tuck that back elbow. They get their bats almost the same position. Then they get to that club lag position. That's very important. That front leg is straight. And then they swing along the plane of the pitch, so that their bats are pointing out and up toward the gaps. So again, this is one of the main reasons, one of the main differences between Alfonso Soriano and Derek Jeter is that one of them has an extreme amount of wrist flex and cocked wrists, and the other doesn't. So thank you very much. This has been Pat Pinkman with the Pinkman Baseball Academy, and this has been your Inside Tip of the Week.
Well, thanks to the Academy for that. That was informative and interesting, and I didn't realize that Jeter and Soriano had such similar strokes with their hitting style. I mean, you were talking a little bit during the tape. I mean, obviously Jeter's got a little bit more speed in his lower body, you figure? Or?
Well, Derek Jeter's more of a base hit kind of guy, and Soriano wants to obviously create some more bat speed, some more power, because he's more of a power hitter. He's going to put up bigger power numbers than Jeter. Jeter's more of a contact guy, try to put the ball in play,
right?
Hit through gaps, and hit the ball deep into gaps. So it's they're different styles of hitters.
Right.
But it's good to see the old Warhawk Matt Foley over there. I know he works out at the Pigman Baseball Academy, and Matt struggled a little bit this past year down at Virginia Tech, and I know he's been really working hard this summer, and he's trying to get things straightened around. And he said he's poised to have a big year this coming year as a junior down with the Hokies. So we'll see. He's definitely on a big stage down there at Tech, playing in the ACC now.
Fantastic.
Another big stage.
Indeed. And speaking of big stages, my friend Jeff Graham, it is time to take the show in an interesting direction this week. As you may or may not know, the annual event we like to call SummerSlam will be in Washington, D.C. this year at the MCI Center. And we have footage of really an interesting press conference, as all wrestling press conferences were. We were talking before the show. This is the sort of thing that you would have seen on Piper's Pit or something along those lines, but now they do it kind of formal. They got a little dais. They got all the guys coming up to the mic and that sort of thing, and it's wrestling.
I can remember WrestleMania like 2 and 3, and what number are they on?
It's got to be at least 30, maybe. I mean, WrestleMania 1 was like 84 or 85.
And it seems like
right?
they have like a
Well,
big special every month. There's
My math is a little
SummerSlam,
off,
there's
yeah.
Whiplash, there's I don't know.
Whiplash.
Which one did Hulk throw Big Andre the Giant out of the ring?
That was
That was WrestleMania 3.
That was the passing
body
the buck,
slam.
right?
That was the one where they wrestled in the Pontiac Silverdome and had a crowd
Andre
of over,
came out in the little ring.
Yeah, and they set an indoor attendance record at WrestleMania, and it was very exciting. Okay, listen, let's cut the jibber jabber here for a second. I'll come out of the closet as a wrestling fan. I'm not afraid. I'm not living a lie anymore. I don't watch it as often as I used to, but as a kid, I had the Hulk Hogan bed sheets and the whole bit. Graham over here, wrestling fan, unabashed. Kubarulis, high school wrestler. So by virtue of that, wrestling fan. Kamide, not so much.
Rather watch
Glow.
paint dry.
The only guy that I ever thought was worth watching and was actually fun recently, obviously the big names from back in the day.
Yeah.
The only guy recently was The Rock.
The Rock.
And The Rock was the man, and he's gone. So
But that wasn't because of his wrestling, what he did in the ring, so much as the entertainment.
The way he talked.
And apparently he could cook too, because I
Right.
could always smell what he
Rock
was
was
cooking.
cooking,
So,
whether that be pie
And
or-
Rock beat Hogan. I think
Right.
it was last WrestleMania. And
Well, Hogan's like 70. He should
Yeah.
be able to beat Hogan.
But he's got his own TV show now.
And he's got the
so-
same hair he had when he was about
It's amazing.
30.
Thunder Lips.
Got a hot daughter
He
too.
was.
Thunder
Well, that he does.
Lips.
He's got the reality show, and he does have a mildly attractive daughter in the singing game.
who is underage.
Oh, right. Who's obviously will be a quite talented singer in a few years when she's legal. So let's talk about this press conference that we're about to see. We saw clips from it before. Have you ever seen anything more wild on this show, Joey?
No.
No,
Never.
clearly. So without further ado, let us show you what we're talking about. Here is the SummerSlam press conference, courtesy of World Wrestling Entertainment, SummerSlam at the MCI Center.
The nation's capital, Washington, D.C., has a special place in my heart and the heart of those of us who have been around as far as our company is concerned. My dad had an office at 14th and I Street, the old Franklin Park Hotel, where he had Capital Wrestling Corporation. Lived out in Northwest 4000 Massachusetts Avenue, so I have many fond memories of Washington, D.C. One of them would be riding around in a blood-red 1959 Cadillac convertible with Dr. Jerry Graham. I had his peroxided hair all combed back into DA, running red lights, flipping people off. I said, I've got to be in that business. So this SummerSlam sort of marks a homecoming for me and for our company, and I can guarantee you this is going to be one SummerSlam you will never, ever forget.
Now, this year's SummerSlam is definitely going to be exciting. You can believe that. Now, I have received an anonymous message from The Undertaker. So let Randy Orton know one thing. You will get your wish. In just a few days at SummerSlam, Randy Orton will go one-on-one with The Undertaker.
WrestleMania 21 was supposed to be my night. Taker versus Orton, it was supposed to be my victory. Fate, however, decided to intervene, and that didn't happen. But I know what my destiny is. I know what my destiny has in store for me. The Undertaker is a legend. But I'm sure everybody out here knows, as well as everyone in the back knows, is that Randy Orton is the legend killer. And at this year's SummerSlam, I guarantee, I promise a victory over the dead man. I promise a victory over the Undertaker. Undertaker! I know this will get back to you. I know that you'll end up hearing what I have to say today, and all that is, basically, in a nutshell, is Taker at SummerSlam. You will rest in peace.
"17 years ago, when I came into the WWE, Hulk Hogan was the world champion, main eventing on every show and selling out every arena. At that time, Hulk Hogan and you, Vince McMahon, referred to Shawn Michaels as a good little hand. 17 years later, and I don't want to chase rabbits here, but I want you to look me in the eye and I want you to understand something. I recognize that you own this place, but without people like me, you don't own anything. And if you ever, after all the hard work that I've put in, going from first match to main eventing at SummerSlam and selling it out, if you ever treat me like a curtain jerker again and introduce me second at a press conference where I am the main event, I will slap the taste out of your mouth. For the first time in his career, Hulk Hogan is having to deal with somebody that is not impressed with everything he's done and everything he is. All the show, all the personality, all that is Hulkamania, to me, is just another broomstick that has taken the form of the immortal Hulk Hogan, where Shawn Michaels will once again go out and show each and every one of you and the entire world that he is the single greatest in-ring performer in the history of this industry.
This woman here will put on a bikini. She'll look so good, she'll make you want to slap your mama. So, ladies and gentlemen, show your love for Candice Michelle.
Well, you guys all know I had a hot Super Bowl commercial. But I gotta tell you guys, it's gonna be nothing even close to the hotness that we bring you guys at SummerSlam. But I also want to give a special hello to all those soldiers who fought for our country. Lord knows I love a man in uniform. But I promise them, and I promise all of you guys, that the WWE Divas, we're gonna end this summer with a bang at SummerSlam.
Batista may be the animal. If he is, I'm Marlon Perkins. He looks like Tarzan, I will make him act like Cheetah. This is no holds barred. This is my world. I have been busted open, black-eyed, broke nose, and bust lip more than anybody in the history of this business, and the more I bleed, the more I win. And in SummerSlam, I guarantee you this. I will take your hometown boy of Batista. I will turn him inside out. I will find what the genetic freak has, and when it's all said and done, JBL will leave this town, and I assure you, I will leave this town the world champion. Because of this, there are icons, there are legends, there are even gold medalists, there are legend killers, but there is one, and only one, wrestling God. Now chant my name.
I ain't gonna come out here and guarantee victory, but everybody knows that Chris Jericho's in for the fight of his life. At SummerSlam, you're gonna see a lot of things. You're gonna see afros and underwear. You're gonna see cowboy hats and limousines. You're gonna see chaps, chains, boas, bandanas. You're gonna pipe up and pose down. And you're gonna see a punk kid who does not know the word quit and will never, ever back down.
I don't know if y'all realize what a big deal this is for me. About 5 years ago, I was throwing people out of a nightclub 2 blocks away. Now here I am 5 years later, world heavyweight champion. Dream come true. Styling and profiling, baby. The suit's tailor-made in DC. SummerSlam, Batista versus JBL, no holds barred. This is what I've been hearing. Batista, you're making a mistake. No holds barred, that's JBL's forte. You don't know what you're doing. My response, I always know what I'm doing. I was trained by 2 of the dirtiest players in the game, Jack. No holds barred, right up my alley. Tailor-made for an ex-bouncer from Washington, D.C. Now, the last thing I'm gonna say, because I don't like standing up here running my mouth all day like some people. I'm from D.C., born and raised in the streets of D.C., and I'll be damned if some loudmouth from Texas wearing a goofy hat is gonna come to my house and push me around.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is a legend. He will be facing the icon without any further delay. Let me introduce a man who I am proud to share the stage with, the legendary, the immortal, Hulk Hogan!
What's going on, maniacs?
And without a doubt, Shawn Michaels is one of the most talented guys to ever climb in the ring. But I think he's a little too full of himself. But now we're at the crossroads. Shawn Michaels is on the crossroads. He's walking that fine, thin line between greatness and disaster. And at SummerSlam, Shawn Michaels has what I would call his greatest opportunity. That's to get rid of Hulk Hogan for good and to claim his place as the greatest wrestler of all time in sports entertainment. But the way I see it, Shawn Michaels is just in for the ass kicking of his life.
Batista, you're from Washington, D.C.
I am, yes, sir.
And you're taking on a Texan.
A Texan, a dirty Texan. There's a big rivalry there. It always has been. I remember when I was a kid watching the Redskins, Dallas Cowboys go at it, and it was always a big deal. It was a big rivalry.
Well, we've got two big, strong guys. We have two big, strong teams going at each other, Redskins and Cowboys, and we have two big, strong guys. What are you going to do to JBL when you get him in the ring?
It's more what am I not going to do? You know, it's no holds barred, no rules, so anything goes. So I'm, you know, pretty much it's all open. I'm going to do whatever I want, whatever I feel like it.
Do you have anything secret in mind that you want to tell us about, or just going to play it by ear when you get there?
I'm going to play it by ear. These are the kind of matches you don't really go in with a strategy because anything can happen, anything goes. There's no rules, so you just kind of be prepared for anything, and then kind of just have an open mind when you go in the match. You just be willing to just put it all on the line.
And how does it feel to carry that beautiful gold belt into the ring as the champion?
It feels, it's awesome to carry it in the ring, but you know, today just bringing it back home, I've never felt anything like it. It's a good feeling to come back home, and you know, it took 5 years, 5 long years. I mean, I was a bouncer, you know, 2 blocks away from here 5 years ago.
I think you threw me out of a club one time.
I might have. But, you know, just come back home and have achieved so much and, you know, be kind of the prodigal son. I mean, it's a good feeling.
Well, we're proud of you, and those of us in Fairfax County are proud of you. The whole Washington area is proud of you.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
John Cena, you've got Chris Jericho at SummerSlam.
It's coming up. It's big. It's pay-per-view, and it's right here in D.C., baby. We're getting it done.
Beautiful. What are you going to do to him?
Oh, man, come on. I'm going to do what I do. I do 2 things, take names and kick ass. So I'm coming to SummerSlam to kick some ass.
JBL, SummerSlam, you got Batista. What's going to happen when the Texan and the Washington native take each other on, just like the Redskins and the Cowboys?
I think just like the Redskins and the Cowboys, it's going to end up no holds barred, like a lot of their like a lot of their games ended up. You know, there's no rules, and this is going to be a fun match. Stuff's going to get tore up. Probably me and Batista is going to get tore up as well. But that's what the fans like to see. This is the kind of match I broke in the wrestling business doing, and I love these type of matches. I'm looking forward to this.
Now, you used to play pro football, I understand. Is wrestling tougher than pro football?
Yes, because there's no off season. Yeah, absolutely. You know, they're both tough. You know, football was a hard living, but there's no off season here, and so the day in day out pounding to me is worse than the NFL.
Yeah, well, there's also another pretty significant difference between wrestling and football. No helmets. I don't know if you guys knew that.
And tights.
And tights. Batista, by the way, the husky gentleman in the white suit you saw before, actually is living in Ashburn, Virginia these days. Want to mention that. My favorite wrestler of all time was Rowdy Roddy Piper. Jeff, what was yours?
Hogan, man. It's got to be Hogan.
Yours?
Man, Hogan knows best, dude.
Hogan, baby.
All right. It's almost unanimous. All right. Want to get to a myriad of things that are happening here on the Fairfax Sports Network. We're talking, of course, about Potomac Nationals baseball against the Kinston Indians on 8/20. Don't miss that.
Kinston, I found out, is in North Carolina, not Ohio.
Fantastic. The games air Sundays at 8, Tuesdays at noon on Cox, Fairfax, Comcast of Reston, Wednesdays at 7:30, Comcast of Manassas and Woodbridge. Potomac Nationals baseball, high school, majors, minors, inside baseball hosted by Joey Kamai, Wednesdays at 10, Thursdays at 7, yada, yada, yada. News and commentary for local sports insiders here on the Fairfax Sports Report, Wednesdays at 10:30, Thursdays at 7:30, Fridays at 12:30 p.m. Cox Cable Channel 10. Don't miss it. And on the web, fairfaxsportsnetwork.com. Photo galleries, fun, games, quality care, Ford Service Center. Thank you for your support. Conveniently located in Fairfax, servicing all makes and models, 703-383-6299. CCI Screen Printing for all of your screen printing needs, 703-978-0257. And Pinkman Baseball Academy, 703-661-8586. Thanks for that rolling before. Boys, again, as usual, a fantastic show. I can't quite wrap my little brain around the number of subjects we've touched on tonight.
From Little League softball to Hulk Hogan.
Indeed. Thank you for watching, everybody. Join us next time here on the Fairfax Sports Report. My favorite wrestler was Roddy Piper because he was a bad guy, but you guys all like Hulk Hogan because he was a good